Hey, check it out, it's Jan, 1/3 of MediaShinobi, and I'm gonna be reviewing episode 9 of Death Parade entitled Death Counter. So before I even begin with this review, I was originally supposed to review episode 9 and 10 together next week because I'm following a bi-weekly schedule. Oh my goodness gracious. This was such a good episode that I had to stop everything, like literally drop everything that I was doing right now. And I have a paper that's due tonight. I had to even break my bi-weekly schedule that I had set up specifically for the series just for this episode. So before I begin getting into this episode, I just want to provide a brief synopsis regarding this episode, just in case anyone who stumbled onto this video doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about. So this episode is a continuation of the last episode, episode 8, where Shimada and Tatsumi are battling head-to-head in a game of air hockey, only to realize that these two were affiliated with each other more than meets the eye. So I definitely had a gut feeling that these two were connected more than what we gave it credit for, because it felt like a situation where we were seeing two sides of a big story, where the two stories will converge and we finally get to see the big picture. And what happened was that Tatsumi was actually the second individual that was involved with Shimada's sister, more specifically the harassment. And it's due to this revelation that Shimada just snapped into a burst of rage. And now he's put in a position that he can now inflict a huge amount of pain onto Tatsumi, and basically the episode ends with him actually choosing to. And it's due to this that both are now sent to the void. And that pretty much wraps up this episode in a nutshell. So with the synopsis out of the way, the first thing that obviously will come into everyone's minds when they see this episode is who's in the right and who's in the wrong. And honestly, that's a very difficult question to answer. Now, based on episode 8 and episode 9, I'm going to say that I thought Tatsumi was definitely in the wrong. But not because of what he represented, but because of how he got to his point of view. Now, the idea of revenge in itself is controversial without even giving the second thought. But that's not necessarily what led me to the conclusion that Tatsumi is the one at fault. What led me to that conclusion was his false sense of closure. So if you're gonna break down his reasoning frame by frame, the moment that he achieved his revenge, he murdered the individual that murdered his wife, he snapped. More specifically, he snapped. He heard a voice in his head that actually was his wife saying thank you, and at that moment he started to smile, like in a very psychotic, I now know what to do with my life and that's not exactly a good thing kind of way. And it was due to this that it formed his warped sense of justice. He compares himself to an arbiter where he passes judgment on other people. But the thing is that he needs to wait until there is a victim and then he could pass judgment. Although there's nothing necessarily wrong with that statement, there has to be a victim in order for, you know, this type of case to happen. But at the same time, as an upstanding citizen, you would normally step in before it escalates to the point where it could be considered a case. And that's where I draw the line, because he could have definitely stopped this and thus stopping this spiral of insanity for both Tatsumi and Shimada. And it was due to this that he fell victim to that train of thought as well, because he almost let go of his anger. He was sure to go to reincarnation. I'm pretty sure he was. And obviously the episode ends with a series of montages of Shimada's life. You know, he had to play grown-up. He was shown as an earnest, hardworking individual. And all of that kind of was tossed out of the window the moment that he decided to inflict pain on Tatsumi. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that's right or wrong, but he definitely chose the more unpopular approach to permanently silence Tatsumi once and for all. And I definitely appreciated that they decided to go with this ending for this episode, because I thought they were going to go with the sappy, more predictable ending. And this now leads to my concerns with how the series is going to end. With the end of episode 9, we have a total of 3 episodes left, episode 10, 11, and 12. And I feel like this is probably the last case we're going to see for this series. I definitely feel like Onna and Decum are going to be the main focus for the last 3 episodes. And like the predictions I stated back in the last review, I still stand by them. Either Decum embraces his emotions and incorporates them into future cases where he has to judge whether they go to reincarnation or the void, or Onna becomes an arbiter herself, thus becoming the first ever human arbiter. And that pretty much wraps up this review. I definitely find this episode to be my favorite thus far, and I'm very curious to see how the last 3 episodes are going to be executed, what's going to happen. We don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. So if you guys like the video, like it. If you guys dislike it, it's completely cool. No hard feelings. Comment down in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys think about as of right now, and we're also open to constructive criticism as well. Consider subscribing. We try to pump out this kind of content as much as we can. Check us out on our social media sites such as Facebook, Tumblr, Google+. We try to keep those as updated as we can regarding our content, along with anything else we find interesting. We are also using a new outro if you haven't noticed, and we would like to give a shout out to Josh A. He's responsible for this masterpiece of what you call music, and he allows other people to use it as well, so long as you credit him appropriately. So I thought that was awesome, and it really shows how much hard work and determination that he put into those tracks. And this is just one of them. So if you are curious regarding to what kind of music he makes other than this one, check it down. It's in the description down below. And other than that, this ends this video. This is Jan, 1/3 of MediaShinobi, signing out, and we'll see you in the next video. Later. Oh yeah, by the way, enjoy this music video.